So speaking of publishers, Obsidian's worked with quite a few major publishers, and there's become a stereotype that publishers interfere with developers. I mean, do you have any, obviously you have experiences for that. Do you have experiences against it, or is it pretty much just been the stereotype?
Um, I've had a lot of good experiences with publishers, and then Obsidian's had a lot of good experience with publishers. So for every horror story you may have heard, or like whatever knocks people have given against publishers, some things that have happened with us are we have had producers at companies that genuinely care about our title and have spent a lot of time playing it and offered really good feedback. So when we were working with Sega on Alpha Protocol, I'm not going to say that like all the higher ups were very excited about the project, but the producers we worked with, notably, we worked with a guy named Andy Alamano and another producer or exec called Constantine, and both of those guys played Alpha Protocol to death. Like they played it in like on all the different ways you could play it. They had really good critiques. They had really good bugs. They had really good feedback. And when you get that level of involvement from your producers, that they play that game and they understand it, that's actually really morale boosting because it shows that they're really engaged. And I'm not going to lie, like there's been producer publishers that we've worked with who you literally have to force to play your game. Like they will not understand like the range of the gameplay. They won't understand all the areas because they just either don't have the time or the inclination to play the game, and it just fucking sucks. Like because when you try and explain certain elements to them, all they've heard about is what QA has told them about the game, and that's not really their own perspective. That's just what they've heard secondhand. So, anyways, that's one thing. Also, like, there's been publishers that have been given us. I'm sorry, there have been publishers that have given us more time, more money for projects. They have absolutely given us programming support. They've given us additional quality assurance. Working with Bethesda and LucasArts was great. In terms of, this is going to sound kind of slammy, but with LucasArts and Bethesda, like their PR teams, like they know how to do a marketing schedule. Like they know that when they're asking for a demo or they're asking you to show a part of the game at a convention, that developers need to know that many, many months in advance. And then they need to stick to that schedule. And LucasArts and Bethesda understood that. They were great about it, and it made that entire process of showing both like KOTOR 2 and Fallout New Vegas a great experience. There are marketing folks at various publishers who will never play your game, just like the producers won't. With both LucasArts and Bethesda, like I even had like a press engagement where I was getting yanked away for an interview, and Pete Hines actually took over my demo. And he's like, you know what, Chris, I got this one. I can showcase all the gameplay and all the elements for like the Vegas Strip. Just go do the interview. I can handle this. And that's something that had never happened to me with any sort of marketing executive before, and it totally impressed me. So there have been times where publishers have offered a lot of support for our titles, and it hasn't all been doom and gloom. I just think that the whole publisher model compared to Kickstarter and player financing, I just think the publisher model has a lot of problems associated with it. Like they're investing a lot of money in AAA titles, like countless millions of dollars, and that makes them want to play it safe and not take risks and play the odds. And I think Kickstarter, you end up playing those odds up front. Like if people don't like your idea or like your project, they're just not going to give you money for it. And I love knowing that the very first 30 days of a project, because then I just move on to the next one. But finding that out in the latter stage of the project is not the best way to do it. So I guess that's what I'd say.